Hello everyone, I'm Jenny. In this video, I will be sharing a sample answer that I have made for this topic. Describe a time when you change your opinion. This is a part 2 topic, and if you're going to take the exam on October, November, and December year 2020, expect that this topic might come out. So let us begin. I hope that the words and the expressions and the ideas will be helpful for you while you are preparing for the exam, okay? This is the topic. Describe a time when you changed your opinion. You should say when it was, what the original opinion was, why you changed it, and explain how you felt about it. Now, remember, when you take the IELTS speaking exam, you don't really need to answer the questions here in order. And in case you miss to answer one question here, don't worry because you will not get a deduction in your score. There's no such rule that you have to answer these questions one by one or in order. Alright? What matters the most is that you speak fluently in IELTS Speaking Part 2 and that you are not off topic. Your answer is coherent and it makes sense. So that's what you just need to remember. Now, in case you are running out of ideas, you can definitely make some stories or you can tell a lie. After all, the IELTS examiner don't care about your personality. They don't care if you're lying or not. They just want to know if you can speak English well. But of course, you have to sound natural, okay? Although it's okay to tell a lie in IELTS speaking, well, it's much easier to tell the truth. But telling a lie can just be your last resort, okay? So let's go ahead and let's see the sample answer. I'm the kind of person who's very firm about my beliefs, and I only change my opinions if my previous opinions were proven wrong. I'd like to talk about an occasion when I changed it, and it's about my views regarding milk. In the past, I used to think that milk was beneficial for all people. There are many commercials talking about the wonders milk can do to our body, including its ability to strengthen our bones and how it can make people feel sleepy before going to bed. I would even drink a cup of milk before bedtime because of that belief. Also, a lot of companies claim that milk is an essential part of our diet. A couple of years ago, I stumbled upon a health article about the dangers of milk. As far as I can recall, the title was Why You Should Not Drink Milk. It was pretty catchy and it got me curious, so I read it. I read that article and tried my best to understand some medical terminologies. Aside from that, I visited reliable websites about it, and I have proven that according to research, milk is not good for adults. The reason for that is adults do not have sufficient lactase. It's an enzyme in our body that is important to digest milk. The article also said that it's only beneficial for babies but rarely for adults. When I read those articles, I changed my opinion and I stopped drinking milk before sleeping. I also discovered that milk and other dairy foods can cause heart diseases and ovarian problems for women. To be honest, I was surprised when I saw that article, and even though I was used to drinking milk a lot, I went cold turkey and I haven't had a drink since. Okay? So, this opinion is about milk. So since most of my students are nurses, they work in the medical sector, so my topic is about health, of course. Now, if you're an IT personnel, yeah, you can definitely change some ideas here. Okay? So for example, your work is related to computer. In the past, you believed that coding was actually difficult, but then when you study computer, you realize that it's easy. You can use that kind of idea, right? Or for example, an opinion about a certain place. In the past, you thought that that tourist spot is not really beautiful, but then when you went to that tourist spot, you were surprised because it was actually, beautiful and attractive. Right? So there could be many ideas with regard to this topic. Now just remember that when you decide for a part 2 topic, you have to sound confident. You have to sound sharp. Even though you use good words, even though your vocabulary is really excellent, but then you don't sound confident, you have a lot of hesitations, that can definitely reduce your score. So confidence is extremely significant while speaking the topic, okay? And then again, just like what I've said, sound sharp. So what about the questions in part 3? Okay, the first question is, do children like to change opinions? Based on my observation, kids like to change their opinions and they do it frequently. I guess it is because they're fickle minded. I notice that they easily get swayed by other people, especially their parents. Aside from that, they don't really care about their opinions, they just care about their happiness. Okay? By the way, fickle minded, this is a good word. It means, not constant. Okay, so children most of the time are not constant, right? So today they might think or they might like this toy, but after a few minutes, they get tired of their toys, right? So they easily get swayed by other people. Now let's move on to the next question. When do people change opinions? I believe people change their views about something if their previous views were proven wrong. Also, when their opinions are proven incorrect, then they would change it. I'd like to take myself as an example. Although I am usually firm on my beliefs, if there's a certain proof or evidence that my opinions are faulty, I don't mind changing it, as long as it's 100% true. Okay? So one of the rules in IELTS speaking is that you need to paraphrase. You don't really want to repeat the words in the question, otherwise you'll get a low score. Because the IELTS examiner will think that your vocabulary is limited, right? So I highly recommend please paraphrase. For example, instead of saying opinions, try to say views. You don't want to keep on saying wrong. So you need to use a variety of vocabulary. You can say incorrect, or you can also say faulty. Alright? Also, remember to use a range of connectives because it's one of the most important rules as well. Now let us move on to the third question. Who do young people turn to for advice? Now, some of my students got confused with this question or they don't understand this question at all. Basically, this question simply means when young people, they need advice, who do they go to? Do they go to their friends or their parents or who? Right? So take a look at the sample answer and please read with me. I guess that youngsters seek advice from various people such as their parents, their friends, or their teachers, and they even use the internet to ask for advice. Since we live in the information age, most of them would go online to get answers to their questions. Sometimes it also depends on what issues they have. If they have some love life problems, then they would talk to their friends and ask for some advice. Okay? So if the question is asking you about people or young people, try to give, more ideas. If you just give one idea or one reason, one factor, one benefit, you will get a low score. Why? Because you will speak, you will give a short answer. And short answers are dangerous. You won't really get a good score, of course, if you give a very short answer. Because the IELTS examiner will think that your vocabulary is limited, right? Or you don't have much ideas, or they might think that you are struggling in expressing your thoughts in English. So, as much as possible, to be safe, give a long answer. Don't worry if the IELTS examiner will cut you off. Okay? Now let's move on to the next question. Do people like giving opinions about politics? Well, I believe that it depends on people's interests. I know some people who are very vocal and opinionated and they really talk about their political views. However, some people want to be safe and they avoid talking about it. In my case, I try to avoid giving my opinions about it because I'm fully aware that it might create some conflicts. Now, for yes or no question, you can give a yes answer, you can give a no. In my case, I give both. Right? So here, some people, they like giving their opinions about politics. Why? They are vocal and opinionated. So when you're vocal, you really voice out your opinion, you are really outspoken. When you're opinionated, yeah, you have an opinion about almost everything. Okay, these are complex words, less common words. Okay, now the other side, however, some people want to be safe and they avoid talking about it. Now, one way to make your answer longer is to give, some example. And here. By the way, most of the time, people always use this expression when they're giving example. For example, or for instance. But these expressions are too common, right? You might get a low score for that. Although there's nothing wrong in using these common expressions, it would be a lot better that you use some expressions that are less common. So instead of saying for example or for instance, you might want to use, I'd like to take myself as an example. And here, of course, if you want to take other people as an example, you can definitely change this. Okay. I'd like to take my mother as an example. I'd like to take my friend. I'd like to take my sister as an example. Any kind of noun here. I'd like to take my country as an example. You don't really want to keep on using simple expressions like this. Okay? And also, when you're using connectives, instead of saying also or and, when you're trying to add opinion, when you're trying to add another sentence, these connectives are too simple. So I recommend, try to make it longer, lengthen your answer or your sentence by saying aside from that, or apart from that, or on top of that. These are natural connectors. Okay? So instead of saying, I like to eat kimchi and bibimbap, that sentence was very short, right? You will get a low score for that. So instead, make it longer. Try to say, I like to eat kimchi. Aside from that, I also enjoy eating bibimbap. So same idea, but much longer answer. Okay? So anyways, that would be all for today. I hope that you learned something in this video, and always remember, you have to speak fluently. You have to sound sharp. You have to sound confident. Because it matters, of course, in IELTS. Fluency is the most important thing in IELTS. So thank you so much for watching my videos. If you have any requests or suggestion, please feel free to comment down below. Thank you. Bye.